So today's session is all about raising external finance. So finance from high net worth individuals or people with sophisticated. There's three different categories of investors, but let's say high net worth and sophisticated is what we're going to cover. And it is literally like the most important task or the most important thing you will do in property business. If so far you've learned so many other things and you thought, okay, they were all important, I think this is actually the most important. And simple reason is you just cannot grow with, too far with your own money. There's only a limit to how much you can grow. Seti, for example, you've grown this agency, I guess, with most of your own money.
Yeah.
Initially, and obviously hard work and sweat and blood and whatever, right?
Organic growth afterwards. Yeah.
Organic growth. And if, let's say, 10 years ago, you came across a high net worth individual and he said, you know what, I will invest with you. I'll invest with you, let's say 100,000. And if you'd got that 100,000 back then, just give me a guess. How much could you have grown faster? Maybe if it means 5 or 10%, whatever that might be, if you'd got 100,000.
Oh, 10x it. This word used a lot, isn't it? 10x. Definitely 10x it. We would have been over 1,000 properties managed and whatever not. Definitely.
Okay. Now that's only 100,000. What if it was 1 million? Now that gets a bit tricky because the more money you have does not mean you're going to grow more. Sometimes you can lose a lot of money when you have more of it. But then again, a wild guess, let's say.
1 million. I wouldn't be chatting right now. I'll be on some island somewhere. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
that's just an example for you guys that things don't happen until you don't have the funds in front of you. Regardless of where you start, you could start with £1,000 in your journey. Go and find investors first, right? If you can't do it first, do it simultaneously while you're building your business. I'll tell you what investors look for, and then how can you find them, and then how can you persuade them. Okay, let's start with what do investors look for in the first place. Okay, the first thing that they look for is trust. They can trust the person. That's key. How do you build trust? You don't build trust by calling someone and saying, you know what, I need money. You build trust by showing them that you can do it. Okay, I'll give you an example. When I sent a message the other day in my investors group, and I think a couple of people here in my investors group as well, when I sent a message, 2 people replied. The reason they replied is not because the trust is built over time. So they've been connected with me for well over a year, and they can observe and see physically what I'm doing. They can see the growth of PEN. They can see what's happening behind the scene. They can see the tech. They can see the team. They can see the sites. They can see pretty much everything. That's what you call actually proving what you're capable of delivering in the first place. Trust is built by showing what you are doing, not by talking about it. Yes, you do have to talk about it, but it's all about showing them exactly what you do behind the scene. Okay, so in fact, even right now we are speaking with 4 different funds. One of them is a Japanese fund, another one is a royal fund. There's a couple of high net worth individuals, and then there's 2 more. So there's smaller ones as well as the very, very large ones. Okay, but what they look for is a system. So not just starting from the trust part and then leading from that on to building that trust over a period of time. The fact that you can lead, manage, and deliver. I repeat that: lead, manage, and deliver results. They want to observe that over a period of time to be able to see if you are worthwhile their time. Okay, an example would be in, let's say, in Jasim's case. Jasim, can you hear me?
Yes, Jack.
In your case, it could be as simple as, and you spoke with an investor, right?
Yes.
he had already agreed.
Yes.
Yeah, the funds, obviously the deal didn't quite go through, but at least you went through the process and you know what they look for. Okay?
Correct.
But where was the trust built? Can you tell me that?
The trust was built over that first conversation when I explained to him what I do and what I look for.
I think it was before that, Jasim.
And no, before that, what had happened was, before that, the fact that I had been presenting the way I analyze deals, the numbers that I look at, how do I ensure that a deal is holistic in all costs? He had seen my videos as part of my Friday Nuggets. He had seen me speak on the events that PN had hosted. He had seen me speak at other networking events. He has been actively following me on how I've been responding to messages in WhatsApp groups.
That's true. So it
So
didn't.
all of that, and then that first conversation kind of was like, find me a project. I have so much money to invest. I'm willing to come on board. Either initially I might come on board as a investor where I loan the money to you. Once we have actually done a project and I have trust, then I'll come as a equity investor where I'm doing a joint venture with you.
Okay, so there you go. It didn't quite happen in a day,
No.
Jasim. That's the point I was trying to make. Okay?
Correct.
The same investor, without naming, had been connected with me for over a year, guys. Okay, I think he messaged me and Jasim kind of at the same time, and then he ended up speaking with Jasim, and that's fine. Purpose of this is that it takes time to build that trust and then to prove a systematic approach of how you're going to deliver. Lead, manage, and then deliver a project. Okay? In your case, Jasim, going forward, it could be as simple as that you find a small project in your zone, literally in half an hour drive from you. Okay?
Correct.
You pick that project up, you take 20, 30, 40, 50,000 pounds from that investor, you deliver on that project, you move on to the second one, the third one. If you do two in a year, in the first year, the second year you could be doing 5. Okay? With the same investor.
Correct.
The third year you could be doing 7, 8. And then simultaneously you're presenting the same systematic approach of delivering a project to other investors. And before you know it, in about 4 to 5 years' time, you could be doing 20, 30 units every year. Okay? But that depends on your strategy. Remember, investors want to not just get to a point where they can trust you, but they want to see a systematic approach which sits on your strategy. Okay? If you are doing a project in London, another one in Birmingham, another one in Leeds, another one there, one is a commercial conversion, one is a different conversion. You can do all of that at later stages in your life. You can't do that initially. You're going to struggle to find investors. Does that make sense, guys?
I agree with you. And I would also like to tell you an example of what's happening. Yes. Now, if you see the last 2-3 weeks of my Friday Nuggets, yes, it has been a journey from first video being a finance video. How do we fund the HMO conversion? That's where I did it with you. Next, I did a video on how do you analyze an HMO conversion. Mm-hmm. And last, I did a video on what is the factors that govern the multiple. Yes. So now with 3 videos, people have understood what command I hold over an HMO conversion.
That's right, yes.
And I've got much higher rate of people calling me and saying, can you find or source similar properties for me?
Yes.
Now, they're not yet retained. I'm in the process of getting them retained, but then there are people now, the fact that since you've been hopping on this for a very long time saying, don't be all over the place, stick to one area, stick to one strategy, get over it, get sufficient control and success in it, and then move on. Now that we are focusing on HMO conversions as a practice, because that's not just sourcing of those properties, but even program managing and delivering a turnkey solution.
That's true. That's true. So starting from building your trust, to being able to find those deals, to being able to manage those deals, to be able to deliver those deals, strategically positioning yourself for one thing and one thing only to start with, and that leads to you attracting investors anyway. Okay? You do have to learn to close those investors on deals. Okay, that's another aspect of it. But to attract those investors, you have to stick to one single strategy. Okay, now, does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Does.
Yes.
Now, how do you find these investors? It's actually very, very simple. Okay, if you just look at your own personal circle, you may have done business previously with someone. You may have connected with someone at your uni level, at your college level. Maybe you were in college or in your school. You had a friend, his parents were, maybe high net worth. Look back at people you connected pretty much throughout your life and say, who is the person who may be sitting on cash? Maybe one of your buddies is now sitting on a 6-figure income in a job. Okay, I can assure you, in most cases, he's probably saving a lot of money. Okay, literally looking at your surroundings and not just your direct contacts, but the people that your direct contacts are connected with. Okay, so you may have a very close friend, but then he talks about another friend who is maybe sitting on a 6-figure income. Okay, it's not about just the people that you're connected with, but the people that they are connected with as well. Starting point is your contact list in your phone. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, literally it's people that you're surrounded by now and have been in previous years of your life, going back all the way down to your families, your friends. It doesn't really matter who they are. For as long as they trust you to some extent, it's a good practice to approach them. Do it in a very, very subtle way. You're not selling anything. You don't want their money. All you want to do is help them make more money. Remember, people always think, what's in it for me? So when you speak with them, they are thinking, what's in it for me? Not for you. You're not asking for money. You're actually sharing them with them a process that's going to help them make money, help them make money. Is everyone clear on that? Always, always when you're speaking with, regardless who you speak with, doesn't really matter if it's investors, your agents, your customers, clients, regardless of who you speak with, they're always, always thinking, what's in it for me? Why am I spending these 2 minutes on a phone call if there's nothing in it for me? People think as hardcore as that sometimes. If you're going to pick up the phone, they want to see what's in it for them, not what's in it for you. Okay? Yes, you will benefit in the process, but mainly what's the benefit for them is what you want to discuss based on the grow model again, guys. Okay? You want to work out where they are, what do they want to achieve? So starting with G, which is goals, what do they want to achieve? What's the reality where they are? What kind of cash they're sitting on? What are the opportunities? At that point, you present them with your system, is what I call a system. You got to have a system in place to be able to find these deals, to be able to add value, and then to be able to deliver. If they choose to just take one aspect, that's fine. If they choose to take the whole turnkey services, that's absolutely fine. If they want to come as passive investors on board, that's absolutely fine. If they want to come as active investors on board, that's entirely up to you. If they want to take, take a loan agreement and want a fixed interest on their money, that's fine. If they want to take an equity share, be flexible. Does that make sense? From that point onwards, you have your social media. Okay? The first step is your personal contacts. Always and always your personal contacts. And not just your personal contacts, I insist again, it's the people that they might be connected with. Okay? Maybe you have an uncle that you haven't spoken for 5 years, but he was really good with you. Give him a ring. You never know. He probably knows his boss that he's good with, and this guy's sitting on £1 million cash. Okay? It happens pretty much all the time, guys. Okay? This is an uncle, you haven't spoken, you used to get along very well. Maybe this is the time to pick up the phone and call him. Maybe just ask him how he is. Just a human nature, good practice to say, you know what? I just wanted to find out how you are. I just wanted to find out where you are, what's happening in your life. Go and have a coffee with him. Go and have a drink with him. You'll enjoy, as well as you can share with him what is it that you are doing. Okay. And then, like I said, from that point onwards is your social media and your physical and virtual networking. Okay. You guys have seen me how actively I network, and that is key. If you don't do it, it's your disadvantage, but I'll leave that entirely up to you guys. Okay. Grace, just for you here,
Yeah.
we do very, very heavy virtual networking.
Yeah.
Leading from Facebook, connecting with investors from multiple groups, bringing them to our own Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups, and then bringing them from that point onwards to our WhatsApp groups. We have multiple WhatsApp groups in place. And then from that point onwards, you kind of start to nurture those relationships. Okay. Everyone else knows here, so I just wanted to share that with you. Okay.
Cool.
That's the aspect of finding the investors. Okay. Now, I've not touched the fact that you need to have a landing page on your website. Okay. You really do need to have a full landing page dedicated to investors saying, this is what we do. This is how you can get involved. If you'd like to discuss, please give us a ring. Are you with me? If you don't have that page, you're missing out big time, because someone will go and read that page. They may not connect with you now, but they'll connect with you 6 months later, 12 months later, 2 years later, 3 years later. And that opportunity could be worth $1 million. It could be worth 10 million. It could be worth any money. Okay. You got to have a landing page. Okay. That's the aspect of finding investors. Okay. Once you find them, when you go through the grow model, you need to suss out if they are high net worth or they are sophisticated investors. Okay. This is a legal requirement for you to do as a registered agent. Okay. Once you've done that, and when they start to invest with you, it's always a good practice to ask them to go and see a financial advisor, so you are legally and compliance wise covered. Is everyone with me on this?
Yes, Jack.
When you tell them to go and see a financial advisor, it will cost these guys no more than £200. A financial advisor would normally cost about £200 an hour. He'll give them a session saying, here is a deal I'm looking to invest in with this guy. What are your thoughts? The financial advisor will give him in writing, all good to go, or whatever that might be. And that's the end of it. And then at that point, do it in writing. So the email that you send the investor is in writing. When they see the financial advisor, that needs to be in writing. You have a copy of that in your system saved. That's in writing. So you are actually now legally covered, that you've recommended the person to go and see a financial advisor and make sure that the money that they're investing, they've taken financial advice on from a registered financial advisor on FCA register. Is everyone okay on that?
Yeah.
Yes, Jack.
Good one. That's on finding the investors. Any questions? If you don't have questions, I wouldn't want to see anyone saying I'm struggling to find investors going forward.
One of my questions is, Jack, is
Yes.
when you have, say that you're upscaling your business little by little, right? Obviously, as you gain more traction and everything, more and more people will start coming to you. Now, I can handle a few investors, right, at a time. Say, from a perspective of I can retain about a handful of them and then deliver based on those premises.
That's all you need.
But say that I start gaining more and more traction and I want to expand the amount of business, will I have to, I will have to delegate most of my work if I want to expand.
Well, the day you get to about 5 investors on board, you would need to hire someone. You'd be making enough money to hire someone.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Forget about 5. The day you have 2 investors on board, you'd be making, if you do it the right way, in the most cost effective and most efficient way, you'll be very easily on 6-figure income, Lydia. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, you would get to a point where you need to delegate. In fact, I had been struggling to do some of my work. So now I have a full-time employee. They're in India. They're doing virtual stuff. That's exactly the stuff that I was struggling with, admin and social media stuff. I have a full-time employee now, as well as all the subcontractors that work alongside me. Okay. I don't do a lot. Well, I don't do a lot of work sometimes. In fact, for the past 3 days, I've not done a lot. Okay. So that's to find the investors. So the trust part goes from your content creation to connecting with them to building that trust while you're presenting the kind of work you're doing behind the scene, like Jassim is doing. Okay. And then persuading them with a system in place and the communication model of growth. Okay. Just because you speak with an investor and if you've done nothing previously, it's going to be a difficult task. Actually, the first one is always the difficult one. Okay. But at that point, it might be a good idea for you to leverage the team's experience here. Okay. So if you are speaking with an investor and you are doing a project for the first time, use the experience of the team of the PE and reps to be able to convince or persuade that investor. Okay. If you guys want us to be on that conference call with you, ask me, ask any other team member with their courtesy if they want to be on it, but I can be on it with you. Okay. As well as I can help you with the fact that I can chip in my thoughts on it. If you want me to lead the conversation, I can do that. So all sorts of things, but you really need to focus on getting to a point where you are speaking with investors on regular basis. Because if you're not, regardless of the business you're in, property business is just one, regardless of the business you're in, it's just going to be a very, very slow growth. Okay. And then, like I said, from building trust, finding investors and persuading them. And the most difficult bit is delivering. Okay. If you take on an investor and let's say you only you break even on a project. Okay. You didn't make a lot of money that you were expecting. You really want to pay those profits to the investor and let him see that you didn't take any profits, because he will come back. Okay. Because he will know that you made a mistake, you learned, you paid him well. While you did not take much for yourself, he will come back to you because he knows that the next time you're going to make a profit. Okay. In fact, a much larger profit. Okay. But the investor needs to be looked after regardless. If you build a reputation of looking after your investors and delivering the projects hypothetically on time, which are always late, and then delivering in terms of return on their money, as well as the fact that stakeholder management, so investor management is key. So you keep them updated and in the loop every step of the way, either every week or every fortnight or once a month or whatever that might be for you. You really need to keep them in the loop so they are updated. If there is a challenge, that's fine. Share the challenge with them. If there is a good day, just share with them the good day. If you are having, if you can't deliver on time, share with that. Be as transparent as you potentially can. Because the more transparent you are, you increase the likelihood of the same investors coming back to you and saying, I'd like to invest with you again and again. Because remember, okay, the kind of investors, the kind of people you're looking for are entrepreneurs who are in different businesses, making lots of money, someone who's sold his business lately, doctors, engineers, bankers, hedge fund managers, people who work in investment banking and, people who work in hedge funds, private equity companies, people who are on 6-figure income plus kind of people are the sort of people you're looking for. Okay. Especially doctors, they don't have time. They have a lot of money sitting around. Like I said, investment bankers, they work very, very long hours. They sit on a lot of cash while they do not have the time to go and look for investment properties, or in fact have any time to invest. All they want to do is find someone who can give them return on investment, and that's the end of it. Any questions?
No, that's a perfect answer, Jack. Thank you.
But just to highlight on this, Jack, like, as you're saying about having to connect with investors to gain their trust and all that, but this is just my opinion. Yeah. I personally think it like that I need to be really having some kind of evidence in order to approach anybody for, like, for having a joint venture, for instance, because
what kind of evidence? What
I mean, any project evidence being completed and has made a success out of it.
Use ours. That's what I'm saying. Use ours. That's why I said use Teams. I can forward you at least 6 projects as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally live projects.
Okay. But if you are trying to approach somebody as, like, as in a joint venture, they would, of course, always want to know if you have done them. If you say you haven't done them, like you have got, a company has done it and we have got these projects to show. I'm not sure how much accountability it holds in terms of convincing them. Because the
first one is always tough, Geeta. To answer your question, the first one is always tough. That's exactly why I'm saying I'm happy to jump on a conference call with you when you're speaking with a new investor to kind of see if I can help you with that.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So use Teams credibility to build your profile. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do that. But at the same time, if you're using, let's say, my credibility or my my name in the industry, I would want to make sure that you are able to deliver as well, Geeta. Okay?
Yeah.
Because then it's my name connected to it.
Sure.
Jack, I think Sadi had a question, and I also have one more afterwards.
Yes, go ahead. Throw questions.
It wasn't so much of a question, it was just basically sharing on something else as well. We've started to go through like our database of investors and whatever not over the years. Because obviously interest rates are so low at the moment in time, people are stuck with like high saver stuff. And what we're finding is, again, we're a team, we openly share. People with the gap of like money in the bank, and you obviously are getting less than what, 1%.
It's negative.
Yeah, and also pension people as well. People can turn around and take money out of their pensions and stuff like that as well, through SIPs and stuff as well. So again, they're not doing brilliantly, but you can give someone a better return back for their money.
So yes, people sitting on their pensions, SAS pensions, SIPs, as well as money in their ISAs can be used for property investment, guys. Go ahead, Lydia. You had a question?
Yeah, no. So this was about, I don't know if you still want to finish with another topic, but I just wanted to ask you about the thing that we spoke about yesterday. As in, I do have an investor who is asking for a project, and they're talking about the JV and saying how they would cover the financial aspect and all the developments and everything, right? So they'd be basically covering all the aspects that I can think of, while I'd be only finding the project, so to say. So I just wanted to know exactly how would that be structured, and where would I benefit from that besides like finding the project?
So they are coming with all the funds as well as they are delivering. So they are the ones who are developing. Is that the case?
Correct.
But in that case, the only thing, in fact, it's a good practice to sit with them to assess and to kind of find out what their challenges are. From the outset, from what you're just telling me, it feels like you are only going to be able to help them with finding properties or projects. Okay. But if you kind of can build that trust and, kind of find out what is it that they're struggling with, then you may be able to do a bit more in the project. Okay. But at this point of time, you're only here to help them find projects, and I would try to see if I can retain them. Okay.
Okay, let me just quickly read the message that they sent me. So They said, we're looking to do a JV. If you've got land or an old building valued at 1 million with potential to develop into multiple units within an hour of the M25, GDV at 3 million upwards, we can arrange finance and construction if the deal stacks up. So please get in touch.
Okay.
So where would my JV be in that
yeah.
case?
Yes. So in fact, I was actually writing the content for our landing page for landowners. And this is a creative approach by developers and land management companies to say, you know what, let's say if you own land or if you're an agent who is connected with the landowner, we are happy to do JV. What they're talking about is option agreement or delayed completion. Okay. So in that respect, what they're actually saying is if you either own the land yourself or if you are connected with other landowners as an agent, and if you can connect us with them, we will do a creative JV, either an option agreement or a delayed completion, and then you will get paid. Normally, most of the development companies will pay you at the very least 2%. So if they're looking 3 million upwards, you want to find out what's their maximum as well. And if you sell, you know, if you, let's say, sell them a deal that's worth 3 million or 2, whatever that might be, did they say 3 million GDV?
They said 3 million GDV.
So you're looking at the land value close to about 1 million plus, okay? In that case, you can charge 2%, that's 20 grand, okay? So, but what you want to do is, you want to first of all find out that they are serious and they have the money and they're active investors. And the second step, you want to make sure that if you can be retained as well. Are you with me?
Fair enough.
Okay, but that's what they're looking for. A creative JV means basically option agreement or a delayed completion. Okay, and in some cases, even an actual JV collaboration where, you know, the landowner is a partner and you are the partner, but you're kind of delivering on the project and they take equity share. So they take profit share at the end. Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
Good stuff. Any questions, guys?
I just wanted to say hi to Muzzy.
What's happening, buddy?
What's happening? Hi guys, how we doing?
Good. Yourself?
Good.
Awesome.
Muzzy, any questions?
Not at the minute, mate.
I think you might have missed the initial part, Muzzy. I was saying that it's vital that you have, it is very, very important that you have investors around you. Otherwise, the growth becomes very, very slow.
Okay, yeah.
Regardless of what you do, doesn't really matter what aspect of the property you may be focused on. You got to have investors behind you, the hard money lenders who can help you with projects and so on and so forth. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, I'm gonna actually stop the recording and then we'll continue. Okay.